Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Rise Urban Nation. I got a special guest in the building, Micah. I call him Money Making Mitch. He's in the building. I just found out he's from San Diego too, and for most of y'all that know me, I'm based here in San Diego. Tell the people where about San Diego. Give us some San Diego love.
All right. Shout out to all my 619ers. Everybody know riding through Imperial. If you really from San Diego, y'all know what that means. Morris High School. I want to shout out Morris High School, Lincoln High School.
Okay.
All my people over there, Coach Day. My day one. And then, of course, I got to shout out Ron Kine, Mitchie Slick, and all the homies over there, and all the homies up top, too. I ain't never going to forget about y'all.
That's what's up. We got Micah's about to drop $1 million worth of game because he's a certified wealth coach, certified hedge fund professional, ex-stockbroker, angel investor, and serial entrepreneur. Is there anything I'm missing, man? I feel like you ran the whole gambit.
You left out bartender. You know what I mean? I mixed the drink.
You be making them drinks?
Yeah, make little drinks on the side. Got a little mobile sports bar. So I had to learn, that was one of the businesses. So I've been an entrepreneur from day one. And so always trying, I never was really with having a boss. So
I hear that. And you learned how to do it successfully too. This
been good to me.
Yeah, let me go back a little bit though. For the people who don't know who Micah Bowens is, I know this is a deep question. Who is Micah? and like you could go far and wide as you want with that one.
It's real simple. Really. My first responsibility and my biggest responsibility, I know, is Micah's a father. I got 5 kids. A lot of your people listening probably know one of two of my two. I got the 3 up now. 2 of my kids are from San Diego, actually. The other 3 were born in Vegas. My daughter went to Sarah. One of my daughters went to Sarah. The other one went to Bonita High School. And so they've been, shout out to Raven and Tiana. I'll say your name so everybody's going to know who they are. Somebody, I don't know the actual demographic of your audience, but somebody probably going to know Raven Bowens or Tiana Smith. Those are my baby girls. So first of all, I'm a father, also a husband, and a coach, like not just a wealth coach. I'm a football coach in retirement now, but I coach my son's football team from the time he was 8 until he was 14 years old. Pushed him up and coached a bunch of the kids in the community here in Vegas. I've been in Vegas, so I'm affectionately known as Coach Micah most of the time when the kids come around. Now, most of my players are going off to high school and college now. So
that's what's up. You like the Uncle Snoop of you like the Uncle Snoop of Vegas.
I was inspired by Snoop. Actually, I coached in the Snoop League. The Snoop League was here. That was my first year coaching football was in the Snoop League when it was here. We was
Okay.
Coached in the Snoop League. It was an experience, man. We had a great time. Made some great kids, made some great people, made some good connections. Shout out to Gali too. Gali Wadu was the president of the Snoop League in Vegas, and so yeah, man, we helped a lot of kids. We helped a lot of kids, and we helped the community. It was a lot of fun, man. And I miss it. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, it's weird now. Not coaching. My little ones, they didn't play football, so it's weird now getting adjusted to it. And so just give me more time, more time to get into the market.
That's what's up. And we appreciate you for that. Along with helping out the kids, you helping out people too with their finances, personal finances. And I know this is a hot topic, all over the Black community now. I think, the guys from EYL, Earn Your Leisure, have done a good job at really centering that stuff. Yeah, been inspirational about that. And so I always love talking to dudes like yourself because y'all been on the ground level doing this work. Um, so we want to jump into a good conversation about money. But before we jump into that, you got the shirt on, and I know we want to talk about it. But tell the folks about Rich Forever University. Is this a Rick Ross thing or is a Micah thing?
Well, okay, so that's one of my favorite songs, right? And
uh,
so this is a Micah thing. I don't know if we end up doing a collaboration with Rick down the line because I love what he stands for as far as the entrepreneurship and just the way he been making moves. But when I was trying to think of what I was going when I was going to call my company, I heard that song and I was like it just clicked right away. I didn't
mhm.
know that he was going to come back and have it as his IG handle. So his IG handle is Rich Forever, and then mine's is Rich Forever. Mine's is at Rich Forever University. But there is no
Mm.
collaborations or affiliations yet. We had to get the check right, and
Yeah,
see if we.
yeah. Hey, Rick, let's make this business happen. I know you. If there's an affiliate listening or somebody, let hook Rick up with Micah so we can make this thing happen. I love Black excellence when it's collaborating like
It's
this.
something will come down the line because Rick is cool with we got a mutual friend in common, and so Rick is cool with Trapper, and I'm cool with Trapper, and so we'll probably end
Mm,
up putting something together sooner or later. But far as Trap, Rick, EYL, Rashad, and Troy,
yeah.
and Ian, all of them, man. I just love what they're doing because when I started doing this, like it wasn't anybody that looked like me. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
anybody that looked like me that was interested, and also like there really wasn't like none of my, I'm from Southeast San Diego, right?
Yeah.
So like in my neighborhood there wasn't, I went to Knox Elementary, so I went to Gingerbread. I
Oh
really
man, I know
all of that.
that
I'm from
Knox
Gingerbread,
Elementary.
Knox
That's right
Elementary.
in National City, Nasty City.
Not yet. Well, it ain't quite that yet, but you know, there was nobody even remotely interested in the stock market. Most of my partners still, even with me getting bread, they're not interested in the stock market. They more like, real estate, or they want to do what they can do with their own two hands. They don't really understand the concept
Mhm,
of scaling and the concept of making your money work for you. They want to
mhm,
be hands on, want to see it every day. So I love that this younger generation
mhm,
is taking hold of their financial freedom and learning about not only learning about investing in stocks and real estate, but also now they starting to come where, and my sweet spot is options. And so now people
mhm,
starting to talk about options too. And so for me, just the fact that it's a topic of conversation with so many black people now, it's a win. We got more work to do, but it's a
mhm,
huge win for us because, what really inspired me to do Rich Forever University was, like you said,
mhm,
during the pandemic, I was watching the podcast with EYL, and then during the pandemic, all these different things, and I was like seeing different people come out with courses, and I was like listening, and sometimes the information would be, so, and then, kind of regurgitated information, kind of like some people just wasn't really ready yet,
yeah,
and so
yeah,
it was like I saw the space, and I said, it's an opportunity there, but it's an opportunity because I went to Morehouse. So,
yeah,
but I'm from San Diego. I'm from Southeast, and so Cali. I grew up game told, game sold, not told, and that's just
mm,
kind of what how it is from my soil. And then I
yeah,
got to Morehouse, and I learned each one teach one. So some days I'm on
mm.
my each one teach one. Some days I'm on my game sold, not told. And so
It depends
it,
on who the clientele is.
it client, it depends on who the clientele is, and it depends on how I'm feeling and what I'm seeing. And so, but more than anything, there a report had came out and it had said that Black of America was going to have a. I don't know if you've seen this. Have you heard about this study that came out? It was in Black. It was in Black Enterprise and in Forbes, and
Mhm,
there's this. prediction, this study that says if Black America doesn't change their spending and savings habits, that we're gonna have a net worth of zero by 2053, 2054.
I think I saw
So,
that too. I
you know,
remember that one.
it struck a nerve with me. Especially because it also said in there, it was another stat that said the average net worth of a single Black woman was like the lowest in America, and that it was
Right.
already 50% of single mothers with a negative net worth or net worth less than zero. And I was raised by a single mom. I got two
Yeah.
daughters, like I said, and so specifically, and then living in Vegas, and like I said, I move around and I'm non-judgmental, so
Right.
I know girls from I went to Morehouse, but I spent a lot of time. Morehouse is like 5 minutes from Magic City, and
Yeah.
so I shopped at the same grocery stores with
Uh-huh.
with a lot of the girls, with a lot of dancers, and then when I was in the music business, and so being in the music business and being in ATL, I just came in contact with a lot of dancers, and so um, I have a understand. I have a soft spot
Yeah.
for females in general when it comes to trying to help themselves, and so
Mhm.
that's kind of where Rich Forever came from, and so I'm trying to help my people, and when I say my
Yeah.
people, it's like it's not just it's my people. It's my people that understand the struggle, right? My people that been
Exactly.
through it, and especially my people who's trying to get out the streets and,
Mhm.
and make a better way. And so I was like, I got to help them take teach them how to take like small amounts of money and
Mhm.
be able to transform it into sustainable wealth. Because we got so
Right.
many people out here like that's living paycheck to paycheck and really don't understand that like there's a part in the movie, and I always reference this. I know you've seen Baby Boy. You saw the movie Baby Boy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I remember the debate.
Remember the guns and butter scene?
Yeah.
You remember what he said? Let me see if
Well,
you
what
can
he
quote. Let me see if you can quote
the
Melvin.
guns and butter scene. Oh,
He said
you
it's
caught me
two
off.
types of. He said it's two types of N words,
Uh-huh.
right? It's the ones with guns and it's the ones with butter.
Mm.
The guns, that's the stuff that appreciate, that go up in value. Stocks, bonds,
Mhm.
real estate, art, artwork. Then it's the butter, that shit that
Mhm.
ain't worth shit after you buy it.
Mhm.
Cars, clothes, jewelry.
Nah.
And
And a
John
lot
Singleton.
I think a lot of that comes to, you know, some people would say that's systemic, right? Like, and I want to get your thoughts on this because, like, systemically, we've been programmed to be like more consumers than we are investors in our community. I don't know. In your personal opinion, are there like societal systems in place that are designed to keep certain demographics poor?
Um, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you put it that way. In fact, that's actually my mission statement, and I always say this. Um, we are programmed. That's when like I signed up with a service to help me put Rich Forever together, and then we had to write a mission statement. And in my mission
Hmm.
statement is I help people transform from consumers to investors, because we got to
Mm.
understand. And I got that from it's kind of my remix from Rich Dad Poor Dad, because I've been
Hmm.
on this shit forever, and so um, oh, excuse my language. Rich Dad and Rich Dad Poor Dad, he talks about the cash flow quadrant, right? And
Yeah.
you either in on the employee or self-employed side, or you in the business or investor side. So I changed it from consumer to investor, made my own remix. And
Hmm.
you 100% right, but it doesn't matter. What people have to understand is nobody's twisting your arm, but you've been programmed and brainwashed since you were, since you were a child. You know,
Mm.
to buy and that you want to consume. And so what we don't understand, it's like we don't understand that somebody's always making money and everybody's trying to put food on their table. So it's
Yeah.
not as if it's manipulative, but it's at the end of the day, we got to wake up and we have to have a higher. We got to get our self esteem. We got to get our self esteem where we're not so dependent on these material things and thinking that we got to. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I like to have nice stuff,
Mhm.
but what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to let you want to be able to let the profits from your investments pay and finance your lifestyle. It's all right to have the
Mm.
shiny things, but you got to learn. And I always say this too: is they're gonna come out with a better one next year. I don't care what it is. Like um, everybody runs to go buy a product, right?
Mhm.
And and they'll be like, they'll go and buy. Let's just say they want to go buy. Um, for instance, let's go say Range Rover, right? The
Mhm.
new Range Rover come out. You run out,
Yeah.
you go get the Rover, right? The next year they're gonna come out with a new Rover that's gonna be just a little bit spicier than the one that they just came. You don't have Super Bowl just came, and I used to be like this. This is why I know and I can
Yeah.
relate to people. Like I didn't go to the Super Bowl this year because it was my son's birthday, and so but I was looking at everybody at the Super Bowls, and I was like, I remember it's like you get ready to go to Super Bowl, you got to go buy you got to have your Super Bowl kit, right? You got to
Yeah.
make sure you got your jewels right. You got to have your jewels right. You got to have outfit for every day. You got to have, you'll get a car. A lot of times you buy your car timing, and you spend all of this money going to the Super Bowl, and you don't realize how well the Super Bowl has been marketed to you, and that
Mm.
basically you have become a trick. You don't even
Yeah.
realize you tricking on the Super Bowl. And everybody's out there and is spending all this money in that. And it's a consciousness that has to take place where you go like,
Mhm.
okay, how can I make money off of this? Right. And
Mm.
black people, we make everything hot. We make all of the stuff hot that everything go to, but we don't really benefit off of it. And when we do, it's usually the crumbs instead of getting the real cake. And so you gotta look. And so what I did this week, I was sitting down every time I was at Universal Studio the day before, and I was writing down like all the different companies and potential investments as I
Mhm.
was walking through there. I was like, let's see. And I had made a video. I didn't put it out. I'm gonna put it out later, but it's gonna say like, okay, let's see how many different investment opportunities we potentially come across in a day, right? And so
Yeah.
when you watch the Super Bowl, and I want you to start doing this now too, like, okay, this commercial, who are they trying to sell? Everybody know
Yeah.
the big ones, the Nike, Dr. Pepper. But what you really saw, these Super Bowl commercials were
Mhm.
movies, 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 because movies is the one right now. The advertisers is leaking a little bit, and
Yeah.
everybody's worried about this recession. So
They trying to get a
they
pre-early
tighten
jump
the
to
budgets.
plug it in.
Well, they tightening the budgets, but the movies got to come out and get their bread. So the movie seen it as an opportunity, and they bought up I would say like it seemed like 50-60% of the commercials this year was for movies that were coming out.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, you think about it, every time it was a big commercial, it was for a movie that's about to come out.
Yeah.
I don't remember who ended up being the most popular one, or what was what commercial do you even remember now? Because they spend a lot of monies in it, and it could be a big piece of your budget. It could
Uh-huh.
be a big piece of your budget when you buy them Super Bowl commercials, but they know all eyes is on too, because you got people who ain't normally watching football watching the game.
Like, I remember the Ben Affleck one when him serving coffee.
Hmm.
It was another one. I saw the first time there was a Jesus commercial in there too. I saw that. I was like, wait, what? What's
A
going on? And
couple
then
of couple of them pushing the Jesus, pushing. The people was like,
and
let
then
me.
the one that almost made us broke our TV that daggone to be commercial like where I like who's sitting on the remote?
That
Who's
was
sitting
creative.
on
That was creative.
the remote?
That was creative, and that's what it takes. Like, but we
I was
have to
like,
understand. You got to understand when you being marketed to, and when you getting marketed to. You gotta be you gotta start being like, let me look and see if it's an opportunity, if I want to rock with these people, and if it's an opportunity for me to make some change.
Yeah. Here's my thing. I don't understand. Like Tubi, I feel like they'd had a couple commercials, but they a free streaming service. How they making money? How they making enough money? One, to afford that, and two, how they making money just getting people to they streaming service? Like
Uh,
where they making bread at?
I'm not familiar with it, but I know with a lot of these startups, I mean, Facebook is free, right?
Yeah,
Um, you Google is free, and
yeah.
so with a lot of these platforms that come out, they want to get the subscribers, and then once they get the subscribers, then they
Mhm.
can package that and go and sell it somewhere because they're like, well, we got all of these eyes. And usually, like if you look at Facebook, the reason why Facebook and Instagram is free is because they own like I forget, it's some crazy like 300 million people on there, and so now advertisers know I can get the Super Bowl crowd, the country western crowd, the NASCAR crowd. I can get every crowd I
Mm,
want once I get. So what they probably saying is right now they're just a lot of these companies now, and it's different. They're allowed to lose money for years because I don't even know who owns Tubi or if Tubi is. I would almost be willing to bet Tubi's not profitable because, like you said, if it's a free subscription service. So
mhm.
right, what I would guess is they got some plan where they're gonna get they're going to get the eyes first, and then once they have the eyes, then they'll worry about how they're going to monetize it.
Yeah.
Because
So
that's what a lot of companies do now. Because it's I heard something the other day, and it was like, if you kind of go, you I take a perfect example with your show, right?
yeah.
Somebody said, "Would you rather have $1 million or a million subscribers?"
For me, I would rather have the million subscribers
Why?
because like there's 12 ways I could make money off of that. Like
Exactly, right? So you like get a million subscribers, then you can worry about how you're gonna get money from them later, right? You need a
yeah,
dollar from each. You'll figure out a way to get a dollar from each one of them.
yeah. So
And
so
so,
and so I can literally turn that those subscribers into $12 million. Like why would I?
so now you just answered your own question about Tubi.
Okay, you got me. All right, I'm gonna throw one at you because this are folks from our community, especially sometimes some of the folks that be into the church or some of the old school folks. They're like, oh, that the money is the devil, or money is the root of all evil. Is money the root of all evil?
You know what? I don't want to give you the cliche answer, and you know my old roommate is the pastor down there.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, my
He's
old
like,
roommate.
I'm trying to choose my words carefully before he at me.
Right. So make sure he probably get a hold of this too. It's my guy, Bishop McKinney. Bishop McKinney, my guy. Shout out to the McKinneys and St. Stephen's Church.
Well,
Um, what I would say is the lack of money is is the way the Bible says the lack of money is the root of all evil. But
mm,
let's be real. Most of the time, you can't be believing any of that. You got to watch when somebody say something to you like that. Um, you got to be careful. You got to consider who the messenger is. It's a lot of evil.
mm,
Um, it's a lot of evil, and it usually can be traced back to. It usually
mm,
can be traced back to money. Like I always say, everything in life at some point circles back to economics. Whether we're
yeah,
talking about the church, or slavery or politics, usually the way people feel about it has something to do with how their money is going to be affected by it. So,
mm,
never trust anybody who tells you money don't make you happy or money ain't everything. Money ain't everything, but it have an influence on everything. More
yeah,
money you have, the bigger your show gonna be. And let's be real, a lot of people they fronting because we know you become the more money, the more people follow the money. And listen, when you get a little money, you get a little more handsome. You get a little money, you get prettier. You get money, you get smarter. Your word, like, you know, when you got money, you go from being crazy to eccentric.
Look, you remind me of that line that Jay-Z said, "There's no such thing as an ugly billionaire. I'm cute."
Right. Beyonce thinks so, and it's a lot of dudes upset about it. A
Right.
lot of dudes upset about it, right? But we gotta
So
understand, the more money you
so
get, the prettier you're gonna be.
yeah, I can't have the university president, Rich Forever University president on and not talk about this. We all right, so if money's not the root of it, the lack of money is, you know, and we know there's systemically some things that's causing us to have a different mindset. The question then becomes, how do we close that racial and gender wealth gap then? Like how do we get into the game?
Um, so okay, so the answer to that is first. The first part is we got to understand that the people with the money is going to always bully. Money is going to always bully the people. The people with money always going to bully the people without money. It's like they're just going to overtalk you. They're going to be able to
Mhm.
overtalk you because communication channels are important, right? Um, if you ever, have you ever heard of Dr. Claude Anderson?
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm a student of the game with Dr. Clyde Anderson. I love Dr. Clyde Anderson, and he
man.
talks about you familiar with the 5-story framework
No,
where
I'm
he
not
says,
familiar with that.
okay, so he's saying there's 5 levels that 5 things that we need to do to close this wealth gap, and
Okay.
on one of them,
Break it down.
huh, and
I say break it down, break it down.
uh, is the number one thing is economics, right? And
Mhm.
number 5 is education. And he's like, we go backwards because we think we're gonna solve everything through education. But if you really look
Mm,
at who's in charge everywhere, it's never teachers. It's never um, quote unquote the most educated people that are in control or have the power. It's the people who have the most money that have the most power and
mm,
influence over policy, right? Because if you have money, now you can send your people to DC and you can influence the politicians, right? Because the politicians
mhm,
don't serve the people that vote for them. Politicians serve the people that paid them, that spent the money, that got them elected. You know
mm.
what I mean? And so I think now the other part of that is we can't spend. We have to worry about us, right?
Yeah.
So we have to worry about how much money we have
Mhm,
and not worry about the I'm not so much about I talk about closing this gender and the gender wealth gap is a whole it's two part, right? So we got the gender
mhm,
and we got the racial wealth gap, right? But in both circumstances, it's more about what we do as people and what women do as a gender with their money and the mindset. It starts in the mind. It starts in the mindset. And you got to set goals and you got to have plans and you have to understand the power of compounding. I like to say, like, we have to learn how to plant seeds. We got to learn how to plant money seeds. Treat our money like seeds. Plant the
mhm,
seed, water it, and watch it grow into a money tree.
mm,
And then you take some fruit, not all the fruit. You
mhm.
got to be calculated about how you take the fruit off of the tree. And you got to
Yeah.
plant more seeds and you got to let it go. And eventually you'll be able to live off of the cash flow that comes from your investments because that's what we really are trying to do. So
Yeah.
to bring that back, it's like it's not about pocket watching white people or Asian people because Asian people are making actually generating the highest income in
Mhm.
America right now. And then of course it's white people have the highest net worth, Asians have the highest income. And we see
Wow.
people come to this country and they make they seem to elevate faster than us while we've been here the whole time. So we got to take some responsibility and say,
Mhm.
well, we need to stop some of this self-destructive behavior, right? So
Mhm.
you listen to our music never really, music is so emotional and it's so powerful. And I used to really underestimate how powerful it was, but it's a powerful influence. It's had a powerful influence on the way we treat our women. It's had a powerful influence on the way we spend our money, and it's had
Mhm.
a powerful influence on just probably our egos and what we think about ourselves. And so a lot of times it's like, you know, like, you know, this show ain't for the, but it's, if you
Right.
think about, there's things that we think about doing, even the way we approach each other or think about each other. There's things that we do, like, like you take Nipsey Hussle.
Mhm.
He was like, Nip was great, right? And
Mhm.
you look at how he got taken away. He got
Yeah.
taken away by, one of his own brothers, somebody from his own neighborhood came and knocked him down, right? And it's like a badge of honor in the neighborhood, when we do something to each other.
Yeah.
And so we got to realize one, we got to learn what the value of money is and the power of money, but we also got to learn what we got to learn the intrinsic value of black life, because
Yeah. So true.
we don't value black life high enough, and we don't value black women high enough. And so, like, when I think about investing, it's like we got to invest in ourselves, we got to invest in each other, we got to invest
Mhm.
in our families and our businesses. And we don't because we even when you have, like, I saw the other day, like, one of the ball players, I won't put him on Front Street, but it's like we repeat the same mistakes. But one of the ball players said he spent $100,000 a year on
On
clothes.
what? On
On clothes.
clothes?
Yeah.
Why?
And
When he could get that for free?
I mean, he could get it for free, but not the free to see the way you saying for free is like, oh, people gonna give it to him for free, right? He want to
Mhm.
have, well, first of all, it's like, this new generation, they want to be cuter than the girls. So it's like, you know, the youngins want to be cuter than the females. And so, um, but I say that to say this, like, I just talked about planting the seed, right? Now, if you
Right.
let your investments pay, so look, I want you to we run a number here right now. You know, $20 a day,
Mhm.
$20, and everybody can afford $20. $20 a day at 20% a year for 20 years is going to be like $1 million, right?
Mhm.
Everybody has the power to be a millionaire, but you got to have that discipline. Let me run a
Mhm.
real number. Let me go to this. Everybody listening to the show, y'all go and download you a compound interest
Calculator.
calculator,
Yeah.
because you need to understand that when you're spending money, every dollar has the ability to create wealth, right?
Yeah.
But we don't understand. We look at just what we're spending, but we're not considering the opportunity cost of that dollar, right? If you so
Mhm.
it's not just that he's spending 100,000, like you said, he could get it for free, but it's also what could he have invested that 100,000 into that would actually grow and then pay for his clothes for the rest of his life. Because we all know, like, the average career of a ball player is like 3 years, and they don't want to give him new contracts. Like, you think about how hot Antonio Brown was two
Mhm.
2 years ago. You know what I mean? It
Right.
can be over so fast. And
Mhm.
so we don't understand that. It's like, we come from that ball. We had that ball till it fall mentality.
Right.
And guess what? It's way easier to fall
Right.
off than to stay on.
And and then I thank you for introducing the music aspect of into this conversation, because I think some of that has been ingrained through the music as well, through the lifestyles. Although we were, there was a certain essence of hip hop just kind of reflecting on what we've been through in that community, but there was a certain essence of hip hop that was being exploited and sold and regurgitated to amplify this lifestyle. I think I can't remember where I seen this at. I want to say one of the dudes from Bone Thugs and Harmony leaked some tape about a executive meeting where they had a back end deal with the prison system, and it's like, all right, how we gonna keep this machine running? It's like, oh, we're gonna just keep putting out this type of music that creates this type of environment, that creates this types of conditions that can still feed the system, and there's a lot of nuances with that in there, um, and and I'm glad that you brought that to light, somewhat. Now, I want to fast forward a little bit to the way that you kind of planted your trees per se, and then be able to reap the fruits of labor. um Something you had mentioned earlier was options, and a lot of people that probably just went way past their head. So, one, tell us what is options. And I've heard that options in training can be dangerous. Like, how dangerous is options trading, and is it true that 90% of options expire with no value? Like, well, first break down options and then go into that. Like,
All right,
I
let's
know
go.
I'm way over people's head right now, so
No, no, no.
we
So
gotta
first,
break it down for
let's talk
them.
about options, right? Options, just like just like guns, can be dangerous in the wrong person's hands.
Mhm,
So if you don't know what you're doing, you can lose a lot. You can lose a lot of money a lot faster, right? But if you think about well, let's break it down. What an option, what the technical term for an option is, it's an option contract, right? So you got two types. You got
mhm,
call options and you got put options. Call
mhm,
options give you the right, but not the obligation to buy something at a fixed price before an expiration date, right? So think of it almost like, if you don't know if you're old enough to remember, they used to have this thing at Fedco and Jimco. People in San Antonio that
mhm.
they called layaway. You ever
Yeah,
heard of layaway? You know what layaway?
I
So
remember layaway.
it's almost like
We
putting a
used to
stock.
live on layaway.
Right. So it's almost like putting a stock on layaway. But what it does is it gives you the ability. You pay a small amount down, and then you got until whatever day. You got so many days to pay it off, and then you can come and you can come get it. So that's how a call option works, right? Then you got a put option, and a put option gives the person who buys it the right. And this is what confuses people: is it gives you the right to sell,
Mhm,
but not the obligation to sell at a fixed price before an
mm,
expiration date. So where it got dangerous is people started speculating using, but where they were originally created, and I want the audience to get this. And so originally it was created. Um, Call options were to protect against inflation, and
mm.
then put options are to protect against deflation.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
So
Okay.
what you can do, so if you think about it, let's say you got a farm, right? You got crops, and you want to make sure that you're gonna be able to sell your crop. You want to be sure you're gonna be able to sell your crops next summer at a certain price. You're not worried about speculating on stocks. You just want to make you like, I got bills. I want to know how much I'm doing all this work. I want to know, I want to lock in how much I can sell my crops for, whether it's some corn or some. So what you could do is you would buy a contract, you would buy a contract that guaranteed your sales price.
Mm.
So if you a butcher or a grocer, same concept. You
Yeah.
want to be able to supply your store, you will buy a contract that would lock in the price that you would pay. So it'd be like, well, it don't matter what the price is going to be next summer. I already know what I'm paying. I can do my books, I can do my advertising. And so what happens now is whenever there's something, as humans, we always finding another way to generate, like you said, money can be the root of all evil. We always finding another way to manipulate or use something. And so what happens is a middleman who had no intention of taking delivery of the crops or opening the store was like, oh, wait a minute, I can play one side against the other. I can guarantee, I think I know more. So he like, I sign a contract over here, lock in a price. I'll sign a contract over here, lock in a price. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to make some money on the little spreads between the contracts and in between. And I'll carry a little bit of risk. I'll carry a
Mhm.
little risk over here. I'll carry a little risk over here. But options are actually um, the best way once you learn how. It's the best way to make money because
Mhm.
it offers leverage on leverage,
Yeah.
which if you think about with a house, if you buy when you buy your house and put the 10% down, that's giving you, 10-to-1 leverage. And
Yeah.
then then that's where most people like see their wealth going in the house. But a house is not really um a house isn't your personal residence is not a cash flowing asset, right?
Yeah.
Because you got all of the maintenance, you got the property taxes, and then you got your mortgage. Now, when
Mhm.
you get your investment property, now you got a cash flowing asset. So now for investment properties, you got to put 20% down, right?
Mm.
So now we have changed to 5-to-1 leverage. So the cool thing about options is not only do you get, because I think you look at the number right now, I think you can control a Tesla option right now. I think Tesla right around two. You can control a Tesla option for um, probably anywhere from $20 all the way down to $7 or $8, depending on how far you go out. So now you get in that same kind of leverage you would get in a house, but you have the you have not one, you have the liquidity and the flexibility to get out of the
Mhm.
trade. So you're not stuck waiting 20 years, 30 years, or even 5 years. You can do an option contract anywhere from 1 month to 2 years.
Yeah.
So you have this flexibility, first of all, and then you have the leverage because you're getting now the same kind of leverage you would get on the house 5-to-1, 10-to-1, and an opportunity. You can set up trades that have a limited amount of risk with unlimited profit potential, which is where
Gotcha.
now you cannot get rid of, you cannot get more return without taking on more risk. And that doesn't matter what we talking about, whether we talking about sex without a condom, options, or real estate, right? The more the more reward you seek, the more
Look,
reward
look,
you seek, the
ladies and
more
gentlemen, this is from a man who got 5 kids, so he knows what he talking about.
hey, let me tell you something. Get messed up is, and so they will say to you, and you look at the number of how many options. If you really think, I hate when they put these myths out here though, because they put them out here with so many things, right? If 90%, I mean, let me ask you, because you're a smart dude. Do that even make sense that 90% of options would expire worthless and people would just keep buying them? We smarter
Nah,
than that as humans,
I
right?
mean, I can't see that
It don't.
as being a possibility. It just the
And guess what? And guess what? So one of the strategies I teach, because of people believe that, and it's a way to make money, it's a way to generate income. So the coolest thing about options is, and that's what we're talking about, to go back on closing that wealth gap, is we got to learn how to everybody needs to learn how to generate a second income.
Mhm.
Everybody needs to learn how to grow their net worth, and everybody needs to know how to build sustainable wealth. Because
Yeah,
you gotta learn how to make your money work for you. Because if you don't learn how to make your money work for you, you're gonna work until you die.
yeah, and here's what I tell people too, in reference to that, just to even get clear about that, because when you're looking at what that looks like for you, whatever that sustainable wealth. Let's say okay, stock market ain't your thing. You produce a different side hustle. It has to be one of the elements of how you make money has to be what I like to call mailbox money, where you making money in your sleep. You ain't
Like
got the
that.
you ain't got to trade time for money. You have to have that in your repertoire somewhere, or else you just create another job for yourself. Like you could be an entrepreneur, but you instead of being the owner of your business, you're now a worker in your business, and that's not the way to wealth.
Well, the way to wealth is we know basically you got to figure out a way to which, and this goes whether we talking about stocks, real estate, music royalties, um, or business. It's real simple, right? You got to learn how to you got to learn how to buy things for less than they're actually worth. And then, well, first of all, you got to be able to. The secret is you got to be able to identify. You got to understand the difference between price and value. Okay,
Mm,
price is what you pay, value is what you get. So
mhm,
now, once you can get a ballpark value on whatever it is, you got to learn how to buy it below its value and
mhm,
then sell it above its value.
mhm,
And whether you create it, whether you buy it, build it, whatever, at the end of the day, you got to learn how to get things that are you got to learn how to get things at a discount and sell them at a premium. It's really
mm,
that it's really that simple, right? And so, like you said, for some people, stock market ain't gonna be their thing.
mhm,
I say everybody needs to learn the stock market because what we have to understand is what is the stock market. The stock market is not this if you want to know why those people are ahead of us and why you see this wealth gap, it's because we don't understand that the stock market is actually businesses. It's the
mhm,
best businesses in the world. And so we don't understand, like, it's like, well, why don't we own? It's like, you got an opportunity to own the best businesses in the world. Now you
mhm.
just need to figure out what I just said before, figure out how much they're worth, buy them at a discount, and then sell them. It's like,
Right,
it don't, it's like if you go through where you spend, if you break out your, and most people don't look at their bank statements enough, but if you look at your bank statement, if you pull it up on your phone and see where you've been spending your money, you're gonna find matter of fact, when you pull up your phone, who make this phone? Who make this
Apple.
phone? Apple, right? Okay. Most people got Apple phones and don't own Apple stock. So they'd be like,
Right,
oh, stock, it's like you say stock market ain't the thing. It's like it don't take a genius to figure out that Apple's a good investment, right? Then they get on their
right,
phone, they get on their phone and they start Googling shit. It don't take a
right,
genius to figure out Google's a good. Almost everybody that had a Netflix account.
right.
Right? We
So,
all
so
Netflix and chilling.
I want to retract my statement. The stock market can be for everybody. Maybe options ain't your thing, right? So if
Right.
options isn't your thing, you spend a lot of money somewhere, right, on something that you love and that you know about. You should own a piece of that. Go pick you up a couple of shares somewhere, and
Only,
then
only if, but only at the right price. Because look, a great company could be a bad investment if you overpay. Right?
true,
And what we
true.
do, like that, what's the saying? Tardy to the party. We tardy to the party all the time. Like we turn around. We want to buy. We got a tendency to get on too late. Right?
Hmm.
It's 14 iPhones in now. You know what I mean?
Nah.
Today's Apple is not the Apple of 10 years ago. And now it's a big company and you know, it's steady, but it's like
But
they gonna
here's my thing. So you can still get into the party. What depends on what your strategy is. So if you're doing your Warren Buffett thing, where you buying and holding, just to use it to sustain the wealth that you have, like so you can
I
use
saw
it.
something crazy like Warren Buffett got like I want to say I need to look at the number. I want to say it was like $300 million, $100 million. It was like 100 million, $300 million in dividends off of Apple last year. Because that's
Mm,
so when we talk about why there's this wealth gap and why it's harder to close, they already got money. And when you talk about the power of compounding, they don't really got to work their money as hard and it's
mhm,
still going to grow because now their money is work. They've learned the concept of making their money work for them a long time ago. But what I always say is you got to have your stock portfolio, you got to have your real estate, you got to have your real estate
mhm,
investments, and you got to have your own business. The reason why we lag in all the economic categories is because we don't own enough businesses, we don't own enough property, and we don't own enough stocks. And it's like like I said, it's we have to start educating we have to start educating each other. That's why shows like this is great, is because people got to understand. I call it, we have to learn economic survival skills. Because if
Mhm.
we don't learn economic survival skills, we're always going to be at the mercy of somebody else. It's like, I don't care what you do. Like, now this is your show. You have control of your show. But at your
Mhm.
job, they got to control. They can tell you you can't work here anytime they want to. And I don't care if it's a
Mhm.
grocery store, a strip club, or airline. They can be like, we don't like your. They don't have to give you a reason,
Mhm.
man. We don't want you to work here no more. And it's
Yeah.
just like that. So what we have to do is we have to understand that, like I said, we have to start looking at the stock market and understanding that the stock market ain't just about investing; it's about ownership
Mhm.
and control. So we go
Yeah.
back to that Super Bowl thing, and like I think I saw a report today where what's the boy name? He be getting fired up too. He used to play for Pittsburgh. I can't call his name right now, but he's a good sportscaster. But he was
Pittsburgh.
talking about two of the coaches. He was talking about why the coaches from the Chiefs can't get no job offers. The black coaches from the Chiefs can't get no job offers, where the white coaches from Philly lost the Super Bowl and they already got jobs. And
Wow.
he was like, I mean, but we have to understand ownership and control.
Right.
So they're gonna look out for that. It's not necessarily always racist.
Was this Herm Edwards? Was he on there? Herm?
No, it
I can't
wasn't
remember
Herm.
his.
It was, and I don't know why I can't call the man. It's I'm on
I
here
ain't
now.
think
And
no, Herm did wasn't for
Ryan.
the
It's
Steelers.
Ryan. It's Ryan. It's Ryan Clark. It was
Oh,
Ryan
Ryan
Clark.
Clark. He got a podcast
RC.
too.
RC
I,
called him out. RC called
RC.
him out, and he said, "I'm gonna quit asking why the black ones can't get a job and the white ones can, and ask what do the black ones need to do? What are the white guys doing that the black guys need to do?" Is the way he wants to frame it now. Well, what the
Yeah.
black guys need to do is come together and build their own shit. Because
Mhm.
until we build our own shit, we always gonna be begging them for a seat at the table. And
That.
they don't have enough seats for their people.
Mm,
That's the thing that people don't understand right there is they don't be having enough seats for their people.
that.
So it ain't necessarily a hate thing more than they looking out for their people first.
That.
And we need
So
and so
shout out first and foremost to the guys at Pivot creating the seat, their own seat at the table for us and bringing us on. Shout out to Ryan Clark and them boys. I gotta get that shout out real quick. Um,
mhm,
I want to pick your brain real quick because investing is your thing. That's your world. I'm not. I mean, I invest, but I'm not an investor like you. I do it for my own personal portfolio. Um, what's the biggest mistake newer investors make? Because there's a lot of people I think around 2020 that got into this game, penny stocks, whatever was hot, you know, Bitcoin, all that good stuff. They rode the wave. I was one of them. I got in big on Bitcoin. Didn't didn't pan out the way I wanted to. I'm still holding. What's the biggest thing that you know mistake that new investors make when they jump into this game? They listen to EYL, they listen to you, and they're like, oh, I could do this.
uh, the biggest mistake I would say would go right back to it's 3-step process, right? Before you buy any investment, and just like okay, so just like you just said, you went to Bitcoin. So it starts with swinging for the fences
Mm,
from the first thing. So we look for too big of a we don't even we look for too big of is one is listening to the listening, of course, listening to people who don't know what they're talking about. It starts there, right? But then not even having a realistic idea of what they should be making, what kind of return on investment they should be making, but really going back to what I said, not understanding the difference between price and value. And so how you buying something and you don't even know what it's worth?
mhm,
You got to at least have an idea in your head. So number one, you got to have an idea how much something is worth so that you know what you paying. You know if you're getting it at a discount or if you paying a premium,
mhm,
right? Okay, so then number two, you got to have a profit target, and number three, you got to have a stop loss. And you got to let you when you're wrong, you got to be able to admit that you're wrong, right? Because the market will break you. You go back and look at history. You go back and look at history. Some of the most famous investors in the world killed themselves because they lost so much money,
Mm.
and they could not accept the failure. You got to know how to cut. You got to know how to take your loss, keep your losses small, and you got to have your profit targets where they make. You got to have profit targets that make sense. So if you don't have any, so that's why I don't believe in just buying and hold, because we got to know how much something is worth. Like you buy a house for $1 million, right?
Mhm.
But the next day somebody come offer you $10 million for it. Are you gonna be like, no, I'm gonna just hold, like, well, you gotta check and be like, if somebody coming out, like, wait a minute, everybody over here, like, this house ain't that different than everybody else's house. Somebody offering me 10 times what I paid for it, unless it's oil or something, or diamonds under this house. I'm gonna take that 10 million, right? Forget that. But if you know how much that house is worth, then you know how much. Oh wait, shit, what kind of return is that? It's 10x return on my, you know what I mean? But
But
so the biggest mistake I would say people make is not having an understanding how much something is worth when they buy it, and not having a profit target in mind.
that
Because if you look at any company, like, I started trading, I think my first investments probably go back to like 90, 95, 96, right?
yeah.
Um, and the hot companies then, it's funny because we doing this now and it's amazing,
Uh-huh.
doing this podcast. But how come I remember one of my first investments was America Online, right?
Get out of here. Using the dot-com bubble?
I went, man, I, fin- I cut, I got the scars to prove it. So America Online, Intel, um, uh, and then later on, I was in the whole housing crisis, and then, I pull up this phone. So I pull up this phone. It's the Apple phone. Before I had an Apple phone, my last phone before the Apple phone was a BlackBerry. So like, where's BlackBerry
Ah.
now? Right? So people tell you buying whole, like, no, it's not buying whole. You got to, if you're gonna invest, you got to learn how to know how much something is worth, so that you know how much you should pay for it. And then you got to pay attention. It's a business. It's not a
Mhm.
stock. So you got to pay attention to how that business is performing. If that business starts to fall off, if that business starts to fall off, then it's time to get up, because nobody is number one. And I always push, I push that you should buy, the best stocks. You buy elite stocks. Focus. That's
Mhm.
another one, is you want to focus on elite stocks, right? And so nobody stays elite forever. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? At some point, somebody's going to come, and they're going to, Apple's going to get to the point where they're going to start to get a little old, and somebody younger is going to come. It's like when Facebook came out, you got like a generation of people that's on Facebook, and then Instagram came out, right? And now
Mhm.
Instagram instantly is hotter. Even the older people on Facebook, younger people on Instagram. Then here come TikTok, right?
Mhm.
And so every time something comes, you got to understand you're gonna have businesses that come along, and especially now in this tech, in the information age and the technology era, things change fast, right?
They do.
So we'll probably be doing these podcasts in the metaverse pretty soon,
You know it.
and so it's gonna
And
be different. And you got to understand that, and so that's the thing,
right.
is it's about understanding how things grow and how things evolve.
Yeah, so you always gotta be really educating yourself. So let me ask you this: what is the key to really profiting off Wall Street? Regardless of whether the market is up or down or sideways, because we're in a time right now. There's a lot of volatility in the market, and we got inflation going on. We got the Feds raising rates. We got,
Hmm.
I mean, all of it is going on at the same time, and we wasn't seeing the profit margins like we were in 2020. 2020 was crazy in the market, right? Like you can make a whole bunch of money in the market.
Million,
Now I'm like,
millionaire,
I'm looking
million.
at the market like, okay, what's going on?
That's why you got to learn how to trade options. Options pretty much the only thing where where options are pretty much the only thing where you can make money when things going down or sideways. And so it's like you got to learn the whole game. It's like if you hooping and you only shoot, you only play offense, or you only buying stocks or buying real estate is a lot like just playing offense. You got to play some defense too, right? You got to learn how to play defense. You got to know how to you got to know how to shoot. You got to know how to rebound. You got to so it's the same thing. Um, you have to understand first what's going on with the economy, what's going on with the market. And that is, way easier than the people want you to think, right? So, first thing we got to say, and I want the audience to understand this, if y'all don't hear nothing else, understand that market crashes and recessions are not the end of the world. They're part of the process. And they're an
Mm,
opportunity for you to pick up and buy things on sale. But you gotta develop that pawn shop mentality. And if you spend all your money on Gucci and Louis and going to the Super Bowl when shit go on sale, and I hear people say this all the time, man, every time stuff on sale, every time it's an opportunity for me to buy something, I don't got no money right now. Why
mm.
everything always on sale when I'm broke? Because you always broke. You always broke. Let's just keep that person because first of all, because it's like 65% of America live paycheck to paycheck. That's a huge problem. You got a bunch of
But
people spending all their money up, buying things they can't afford to impress people they don't even like. And so
ain't that true?
it's that BS right there. So we got to understand that that's when the sharks is in the sharks. Like they say, the time to buy is when it's blood in the streets. So you need to be stacking your money and sitting it
Right.
out. Like I said, it's gonna be somebody who bought that Range Rover, and then they're gonna lose their job or they're gonna get cut from the team. And guess what? You're gonna be able to get that Rover from them for the low because
Yeah.
they
Okay. Well, you talking all that savings talk. Let me ask you this: would you rather have assets or money in the bank?
assets,
So,
assets
so,
because
so
the
if I
assets
spend all my money on assets, I can't catch the sale.
no liquid assets though. I like liquid assets. So I can always leverage I always can leverage my assets, right? And
Uh-huh.
so you got cash in the bank and you dealing with inflation and
Mm,
with the way our government is whenever times get tough, now we're gonna have an easy money policy and inflation is gonna be now this inflation is not gonna last forever that we having right now. This is like a 40-year higher inflation. But you always, it's we got to get on you got to get on beat. That's what everybody really got to do is they got to get on beat. Like you got to
mm,
understand like this was we have high interest rates after record low artificial interest rates, right? So
mhm.
just when you got used to those low interest rates, but back in the days, like I think when I was a kid, I want to say my mama house note, my mama's interest rate was like 14%, but you also
Yeah,
used to be
look, that was good back and keep in mind, that was good back in the day. Like, that was
well,
like,
think,
"Oh, you got
think about
15?
this.
Ooh, girl, you
Think
got a
about
good
this.
one." And then when we came down to these 2, 3%, that was crazy. Like, first, it was crazy just to see it at 5, and then we got to 2, and then now we back up, and then people bugging out. I'm like, "Look, you still good at 5." Like, I mean, I
It
know it ain't
depends.
2,
It
but
depends on who you are, right? Because and this is remember we started this off talking about investor versus consumer, right?
Mhm,
If you are an investor, you like high interest rates because
mhm,
now whenever mortgage rates go up, CDs, bonds, the risk free rate goes up. So if you're
mhm,
the person that's lending the money or putting the money up, now you don't have to take you now the stock market got to pay you more money as an incentive to try to get you to invest because you're like, well, I could just buy. If you got to, like, I could just buy an 8% CD, right? Part of why they cut interest rates is to try to get people to start investing more. Like, nah, we're not going to give you this guaranteed money because if we pay you too much on these CDs, then y'all not
Mhm.
going to be investing in the market. And at the end of the day, we have the world's biggest economy. We have a $20 trillion economy, and people got to
Mhm.
understand. Like, let me say that 20 with a T. So understand when you're talking about a $20 trillion economy, it's a lot of things going on, and what you have to do is you want to get on the side. You want to be on the right side. You don't want to be when interest rates are low, that's when you want to borrow money. When interest
Mhm.
rates are high, that's when you want to loan money. And it's really
Mhm.
that simple, but we make it more difficult. Now nah. If you don't like something, get on the other side. It's like that's when if you can't beat them, join them. This is not the time for you to be buying a house. This is the time for you to be buying CDs and buying bonds.
Mhm.
And it's really that simple. We don't get who consistently getting 20%? The credit card companies. Go look at what everybody paying on their credit card company. You feel
Right.
me? Like you look at them credit card get it. So it like I said, when you start looking at the card, like, well, damn.
Unless you use your credit card like a hustle where you just getting
Yeah, a lot of people got the credit
you
card
pay
hustle.
all you pay right off, you like you get the
That be
points
the
you rack up like
that's the intention, right? But most people is gonna be like they're gonna run them credit cards up and then they're gonna struggle to get the next thing. And I know a
Right.
dude, a true story. I know a dude. We used to have a homie. You know, he couldn't. He couldn't. He couldn't keep. He couldn't keep his money going right. Right. So
Mhm.
his hustle would always be around us. He he would go because he had great credit. He knew the credit. He knew the credit. He was running the credit game before the credit game. So what he would do is he would go buy shit on his credit card. He'd go buy Louis Vuitton or buy the Gator. We like the big Gators, or he'll go buy. He'll go. One time he put a Yukon. He put a Yukon on his black card for my relative, and then he'll go buy whatever you want and then sell it to you for like 25, 30% off of the retail price and then worry about hustling and getting to it later. And he would do that
Mhm.
all the time. Be like, man, sooner or later, and he'll do the same thing. Then he'll go transfer that balance and go, sooner or later, that shit catch up to you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Sooner or later, it catch up to you. But it's also not real money, right?
Yeah.
So sooner or later, he like, them credit cards ain't never getting paid off. He just keep enough. He just keep enough to pay it to keep the balance low enough to keep it going. But that day he gonna go to his grave with that.
Well, he is. Um, let's end it off like this because I want to get the people connected to you. Um, one before I talk about the projects you're working on. When you
Mhm.
look at this game that the university, school, the the investment game, what do you think it looks like for us, specifically for people like us? Like, what does the future look like when you look at this industry, and what's in store for us?
I think the future is unbelievably bright, blinding in the sun bright because
Right.
once we have an understanding, we've always known how to do the most with the least, right? And
Mhm.
that's why options is so on. Like I said, it will cost you. You want to buy 100 shares of Tesla right now at like $200. It costs you like 20,000, right?
Mhm.
But you can spend 1,000 and control some Tesla if you once you learn how to put the trades, once you learn how to structure and set the trades up right. So
Mhm.
for us, this has been an arena where we have we have not participated
Mhm.
as much as everybody else, but we're learning the game and we're fast studies and we know it's things in the street that we understand that give us an advantage, right? Because you
Yeah.
know most people didn't handle a lot. Well, not most, but it's a lot of people who didn't handle some change before,
Yeah.
and so. They understand the concept of droughts. They understand the concept of prices shooting up, and they understand the process of prices coming down. So now, once you get into like, oh, okay, wait a minute, this is not that different than something I already kind of know. I think it
Right.
gives us. I think that background, that hustling
Right.
background, gives us an advantage, gives us an unfair advantage because we understand leverage and credit. You know,
Mhm.
it's
Is this
almost
about like flipping the script, taking that legal hustle, taking that illegal hustle, turning it into a legal hustle? That's why I like guys like you and Wall
no.
Street the Trapper.
We even let me say this to you. We even understand this, right? Like it was always somebody who understood. Like go to Sam's Club, buy the candy at Sam's Club, bring it to school, and we could sell the candy at school, and you could double your
Yeah,
money. That's because
yeah.
you're the only one with candy. Oh wait, well I got candy at school. I'm beating the ice cream man prices, right? So when you
Supply and
understand,
demand, baby. 101.
right? So once you understand, you start understanding. Like, wait a minute, okay, so I'm gonna apply this same concept. Like we know it. We put it like this:
Uh,
everybody knows, everybody black, and I believe this. Everybody black knows a booster,
mhm.
right? So when the booster come, everybody knows what. We know how much that we know what half price is.
Right.
Like I had an artist on my label named Slick, and he had an album called Triggeration Station, song of Triggeration Station called I'm Connected. And the hook
Yeah.
in I'm Connected was like my whole crib costs half price. My whole crib costs half price. We gotta understand, so we understand what half price is. So because we understand what half price is, that gives us an advantage in investing once we start becoming investors. And so
Gotcha.
what's going to change is once we start getting ownership, and then look, like ownership is control. Ownership and control mean power, right?
Yeah.
We don't like the way some of these companies been treating us. We don't like. Well, guess what? When we start buying, do you know who the richest? You know who the richest man in the world is right now? I know
Mm-mm.
everybody knows. There you go. Richest man in the world right now is Bernard Arnold. Arnold Arnold. Are you ever want to
Oh, it's
say
the
it?
guy from that owns all the luxury brands. I know it was between him and
Him and Elon go back and forth.
Elon was going back and forth.
Right, but think about it. He owns all the luxury brands: Louis Vuitton, Moet, Hennessy, all of the things that we spend money on. We spend buku money on, right? And so it's real simple. And we're like, wait a minute, this dude became the richest person in the world by selling clothes and alcohol and perfume and purses. Richest, like number one guy. Gotta let that marinate,
Let
let
that
that
sink
sink
in.
in, let that sink in. And so you can try to come out with your clothing line and compete with him, or you can just be hands off and just buy into his business. And so that's what we have done. But buy in at half price though. So when
Hmm.
you see these crashes, we're gonna get ready, like, okay, because it's gonna come, the price is gonna come down. And it's gonna be an
Yeah.
opportunity to get in. And then if you really know how to make bread, you can make bread when it's going. If you know how to learn how to trade options, then you can make bread when it's going down and when it come back up.
Ooh. Now that's $1 million worth of game, ladies and gentlemen. All right, listen. Me and you could probably talk forever. I don't be doing the long 2-3 hour episodes. I ain't Joe Rogan up in here, so I'm not going to take people on that journey. So let's end it
Okay.
off like this. What projects are you currently working on, and where people can find you? And do we got any special? We was talking about doing a little special something. So drop that in there too if you want, if we so inclined to do that right now, or I could drop it a little bit later for them.
Uh, so I got a bunch of stuff coming out, man. I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be doing. Understand, like I said, some of it is game sold, not told, but most of it is each one teach one because I'm on a
Mm,
mission. I'm on a mission to create a million new millionaires. So if you're familiar with Farrakhan's Million Man March, I'm organizing the Millionaire March. So
mm,
2050, I want to take a million millionaires to Washington, D.C. So I'm trying to help people learn how to invest in themselves and how to get some ownership, power, and control so we could get our seat at the table like we're supposed to have it. So we can go together and use our power to
mhm.
influence politics that's going to make it better in our communities, right? And so
Love that.
that's a big thing I'm working on. I got an app coming out that it's going to be the Rich Forever University app. Y'all going to be able to download, and it's going to have courses on there. It's going to be pretty much the first one of its kind, and everybody going to switch over to the apps after I drop it. But it's going to be courses going to be on the app. I'm going to be giving alerts and stock trades, and then I'll be doing pop ups and question and answers in there. It's going to be I'm working on it all right now. A lot of times, because I still trade, you
Yeah.
know, and train people, so a lot of this is taking longer to come out than I had intended on it coming out. And then I got
Listen, slow motion is better than no motion. So take your
exact.
time with it. We wait for it.
But what everybody's gonna get is everybody's gonna get all everybody that's listening to the show, y'all gonna get 30 days free in 30 days free in the app to try it out. So you're gonna be getting plays in the app that you can paper trade and you can see how you can make money with this game. Because this is a game that, like I said, everybody needs to understand. Everybody needs to
Mhm.
understand and then figure out where their niche is because everybody has a circle of competence
Mm,
where they have an edge over everybody. I'm convinced everybody knows more about something than everybody else does. Whatever it is that they're special, that's their specialty. You know what I'm saying?
I love that. Love that. Well,
And
there you
so
have it,
then,
ladies and gentlemen.
one more because then I
Oh, oh,
also
oh,
got
shoot. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
the big thing I'm dropping is I got a free master class that I want to make sure everybody come to this free master class. It's called Bear Market Money Machines: How to
Mhm.
Make It Rain When the Market Fall Down. So everybody, make sure y'all follow me at Rich Forever University on IG. I think the date. What is the date of Bear Market? Let me check the calendar. I'm dropping Bear Market Money Machines on March 2nd.
March 2nd it is.
Everybody gonna learn how to make money in the down market for absolutely free. I'm gonna do like
Ooh.
90 minutes of teaching and then 30 minutes of question and answers. You're gonna be after you come to this master class, you're gonna be able to trade. You'll know how to the basics of being able to trade stocks and options. You'll be able to make instant income. You'll be able to make money literally the next day.
Listen, that's $1 million worth of game right there. I'm gonna make sure I drop all the links from my brother in the show notes below. So if you driving, don't worry, don't swerve. Try to get this
Be
information.
careful. Get home safe.
Will you get to the office, get home, wherever you at, just go into the show notes. The links gonna all be in there. And I'm gonna make sure that you even have the Instagram hashtag so you can follow my man right here and just keep up on game. And each one teach one, as my brother says. So Micah, thanks for coming through, blessing the audience. I appreciate you, brother. And just like that, any last words of wisdom for the people before we head out?
I just want to thank I want to thank you for having me, and I want the people to understand how much of a privilege it is to have somebody like you giving them this information because it's a movie for almost every I grew up without a dad. So
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of my male guidance from stuff I picked up from movies, and it's a movie for every situation. And like one I'll say about this and podcasts like this, EYL, all of them, we all need to understand that if you're not making the kind of money that you want to make, then you need to use your spare time to increase your ability to make income. right?
Mhm.
You got to increase your ability, whatever it is, whether it's stock, you're going to have to use your spare time to increase your ability to generate cash flow.
Mm.
Okay. And information is power. We go back to the movie Higher Learning. It's a scene in Higher Learning when Professor Phipps come and he tell Ice Cube and Omar, listen, information is power. Without
Mhm.
information, one can never seize power.
Mm.
There's nothing more powerful.
I love that. Information is power, so keep up your higher learning. Keep tuning in. Thank you, brother. I receive those flowers and flowers to you as well for the work that you're doing and spreading the knowledge and info. And we're gonna get those a millionaires, and we're gonna get that millionaire march going. I want to see nothing but
We're gonna get
melanin popping, glowing in this millionaire march. I can't wait to see it happen.
it.
You tuned in, you're rocking with the best, and we'll catch you on the next time.